up guys, welcome back to my channel. We're sitting at my kitchen island right now about to do a sort of mid-year money reset slash like August budget with me. It's the end of July currently, and if you're new here, I'm Erin, I'm 25. I live in Nashville, Tennessee as of a couple of weeks ago, and on my channel I post a ton of budgeting content. I talk super open and transparently about my finances and give you guys the inside scoop on how I save, how I invest, how I spend my money, all of the money related things. So with that being said, if you're interested in that type of content and seeing how a 25-year-old living in Nashville manages her money, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to my channel because a lot more of that type of content is coming in the near future. Like I said in this video, we are doing a bit of a mid-year money reset. I just moved down to Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and doing a cross-country move absolutely destroyed my finances. I'm exaggerating a little bit when I say that. I did plan for the move. I prepared financially. I posted a video talking all about the cost of moving and how I'm preparing financially. Even so, it was still a lot of expenses in a pretty short period of time, and even for someone that prides herself on having her financial shit together, even I'm pretty overwhelmed with my finances right now, and I wanted to just take the day to reset, see where all of my money went this month, prep for next month, reset all of my savings goals, my investing goals, all of that good stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. The very first thing that I did to reset my finances and feel more in control of my money was I tracked all of my July expenses. It's the end of July right now, and I went into the July tab of my budget template and I literally listed out every single transaction for exactly where my money went in the month of July. I typically do this on a weekly basis just to keep up with it so that it's not like super overwhelming at the end of the month, but just with moving and everything going on, I didn't do that good of a job of tracking on a weekly basis. So now that it's the end of the month, I started fresh with a blank tab, and I literally listed every single transaction that I had this month. Like I said, this was a spending month because I moved, but even so, it honestly didn't take me more than like 20 minutes. Whenever I meet with someone one-on-one to talk through my budget template, this is always where I tell them to start whatever month we're in, go back to the last full month and literally list out all of your transactions just like I did in the July tab, because what it does is it allows you to see kind of big picture exactly where your money went in an entire month when you're not budgeting and keeping track of where your money's going. So again, I knew I had a spending month. I knew I had a lot of expenses going on this month, but now that I've tracked everything and I could see exactly where my money went, I'm a lot less anxious about it. Like, yes, the numbers are kind of high, but I'm less anxious about it because at least I know where my money went. As for where I spent my money this month, my rent was a bit higher than normal because I had some move-in fees and things like that I had to pay for. So I paid $2,751 to my apartment complex. I only spent $359 on groceries this month, which wasn't too terrible, especially because like moving, there's some things that you need to buy that you wouldn't typically have to buy in the grocery department. Food and drinks and shopping are the two areas where I typically have some problems in my budget. Sometimes I definitely go over my food and drink and my shopping budgets. But this month, I feel like I was so busy spending all of my money in the home furnishing and home decor section that I didn't really go over budget in the food and drink category or in the shopping category. I spent $129 on fitness this month. My new gym membership is $100 a month, which is definitely more expensive than I used to pay in Pittsburgh. And then in the month of July, I spent $3,711 on household and pet items. Virtually all of that was in the household department, again, furnishing and decorating my new space. And then last I had $158 of miscellaneous expenses. A lot of these were Ubers because we were Ubering to like go out to eat and go to the bars and things like that in Nashville. Before I start going through my August budget, one thing that I'm gonna do, and something that I do basically at the end of every single month while I'm going through this process, is I'm going to pay off all of my credit cards. I put all of my spending on credit cards, but I absolutely never carry a balance. I have them all set up on auto pay to pay off the entire statement balance on the due date, and obviously the due dates on my different credit cards are kind of like sporadic throughout the month, but I do pay off my credit cards more than once a month typically. Whenever I start to see a balance get pretty high on one of my cards, I pay it off because it just kind of overwhelms me to have like thousands of dollars on my credit card balance. Right now my Chase Sapphire Preferred card has a balance of around $1,100, so I'm gonna pay that one off just so I'm kind of starting in August with more of a blank slate. Now for the fun stuff, let's talk through my August budget. Obviously, since I I moved, some things in my budget did change. I do not make a new budget every single month because the way that I structure my budget, things stay pretty much the same every month. But with the move, there were some adjustments that I needed to make. So let's talk through some of those. My monthly net income did go up a little bit. Tennessee doesn't have any state income tax, so there were like some changes in my income portion of my budget. My monthly net income now is $6,805. And then on the need side, the big change was in my rent. My rent did go from $1,800 to $2,300. Other than that, in the needs, everything did stay pretty much the same. The only difference here is I added in my car insurance. In Pittsburgh, I would pay my car insurance once every 6 months, so that wasn't necessarily factored into my monthly budget, but I'm going to need to get new car insurance in Tennessee, and I think I'm going to start paying it monthly, so I added that into my budget. Then on the one side, I did increase my food and drink budget and my shopping budget to $500 a month each. This is not going to be a long-term thing. I feel like just with me moving and being in Nashville, being in a new city, and with it being summer, I'm naturally just going to be spending more money, and I want to allow myself to spend more money on things like going out to eat, trying new restaurants, going shopping, kind of rebuilding my wardrobe for Nashville. So I did reflect that in my budget as well. But like I said, this is not going to be a permanent thing. And then the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about here in relation to my new budget is the savings and the investment side of my budget. Like I said, when I moved down to Nashville, I had a ton of expenses related to furnishing and decorating my apartment, and I pulled a lot of that money out of my sinking funds, so out of my high yield savings account. So draining a lot of those savings accounts, not necessarily my emergency fund. I didn't touch my emergency fund at all for the move, but I drained some of my accounts like my fun money sinking fund, my vacation sinking fund. I felt like it was a good time to just kind of like reset what my sinking funds were and what I'm saving for, since I kind of zeroed out those accounts. If you don't know what a sinking fund is, it's essentially just a separate savings account or a little sub account in your high yield savings account that you use to save for a very specific savings goal. I have a few different sinking funds in my high yield savings account, and every month I just put a little bit of money into each of these accounts so that when I have a bigger purchase, I have that money sitting there already and I don't feel like I'm totally blowing my budget in the month that I'm purchasing the item. In the monthly budget planner tab, I mapped out what savings goals I wanted to be saving for the remainder of 2024. I'm going to save $300 a month for vacations, $150 for Christmas, $300 a month for fun money, and $150 for pet sitting. Pet sitting is a new sinking fund for me. Now that I don't live in the same state as my family, I'm naturally going to be spending a lot more money on pet sitting. So this is something that I want to be proactive about so that I have the money sitting there for when I need to get a pet sitter for Bella. Now that I have that mapped out in my budget planner, the next step of this is to set up my direct deposits and my savings automation so that I don't manually have to remember to save for all of these different savings accounts every month. So the total amount in my monthly budget planner that I'm saving for into all of my different sinking funds is $900 a month. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go into my ADP account where all of my payroll stuff is managed, and I'm going to set it up so that $900 out of every single paycheck is getting sent directly to my high yield savings account. That $900 a month is going to go into my SoFi account. My SoFi account is where I set up all of my different sinking funds, and then the rest of my paycheck, so my entire paycheck minus the $900 that gets sent to SoFi, that's going to go into my main checking account at a different institution. I switched all of my sinking funds over to SoFi because I love how user-friendly their platform is, and I love how easy it is to set up the different vaults for all of my different sinking funds. So I went in and I added a vault for each of the things that I wanted to save for. So vacations, Christmas, fun money, pet sitting. I set up each of those vaults, and then the next step is to set it up so that automatically every single time I get a direct deposit, that money is automatically routed into each of those different vaults. I do have a referral for a SoFi account in the description of this video if you want to organize your money like this as well. And the last thing that I'm gonna do today for my little mid-year money reset is actually check in on my net worth. I don't check my net worth too frequently. I honestly haven't looked at it since the beginning of this year. But when I feel like I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed with my finances on the spending side, it's really good to check in on my net worth and kind of remind myself that like this is what I'm working towards. I'm at a point right now where it's super inspiring to check my investment portfolios, check my savings accounts. Again, it just reminds me like, okay, let's cool it on the spending side, because when you are spending within your means, you have a lot more money left over to save and invest and watch this number grow. For context, I've always been super transparent about my net worth on my social media. First like year and a half of me doing social media, I was posting all about my 100K net worth journey, and you guys got to watch my net worth grow from negative 15K to 100K. I hit 100K in August of 2023, and now we're going to do an update on how much my net worth has grown since then. I know this is really cool for me to see, and I hope it's inspiring for you guys to see as well, just to kind of see how quickly things start to snowball once you start to build something. Obviously, a lot of the money in my net worth is in investments, so on top of the money that I'm contributing every single month, that money is also growing because it's invested into the stock market. So with that being said, I just calculated everything out, and here is my current net worth as of end of July 2024. My emergency fund is sitting at $30,102. My Roth IRA is sitting at $29,011. Brokerage account is at $46,090. My Vanguard account, which is my 401k for my old employer, I still need to roll this over into my current solo 401k, but it's fine. It's still open. It's still invested. It's still sitting there growing, so I'm not like too worried about it at this point. That account value is $30,450. And then my solo 401k is at $58,541. I don't have any debt anymore. I paid that off in 2023, so nothing on the liability side. So that brings my current net worth to $194,194. I will say too that these are only my personal assets. I'm not counting any of the money that's sitting in my business account, just because some of that money is setting aside for taxes. Like, I don't exactly know how much of that I should be counting towards my personal net worth. But on the personal side, my net worth is just under $200,000, which is so crazy to me to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to do your own little mid-year money reset. I know I always feel a lot better once I spend an hour or so with my money, so hopefully you guys have the same feeling. If you want this template that I use to budget and track my spending, I will link that in the description, along with all of the accounts that I used and talked about in today's video. If you want to see more content like this, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel, and thanks for following along.